Over these past few weeks, the Pelicans have been making noise all throughout the league. From November 21st to December 11th, the Pels went on a 10-game win streak that included statement wins over the Suns and a nice win over the Nuggets, despite Jokic putting up 32 points, 16 rebounds, and 9 assists. They currently hold the number 2 seed in the West and have a top 10 offense and top 10 defense in the NBA right now. They are one of 3 teams in the NBA to be top 10 in both. And they are doing all of this despite having key players such as Brandon Ingram and others in and out of the lineup. This is remarkable, and the Pelicans are putting the league on notice and are starting to establish themselves as true NBA contenders. As I mentioned beforehand, the Pelicans have been phenomenal this season. Through 28 games, they are 18-10 and hold the second best record in the Western Conference. They have the 6th best offense in the NBA, and most of this is based off getting to the paint and applying pressure on the rim. The Pels attempt about 35 shots at the rim, which is 4th in the NBA. This is mostly due to this guy right here. Zion is one of the best at getting to the rim, and when he gets there, he is converting majority of the time. As of right now, Zion is averaging 25.3 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 4.4 assists on an absurd 64% true shooting. Now, Coach Willie Green recognizes this, and due to the success Zion has had this season on offense, he has given Zion the keys to the offense. Zion's ISOs have become a staple in his offense, and he gets and creates looks in a multitude of ways, from posting up and spinning to get a bucket or creating a good look for his teammates from a face-up. Zion does it all. He's a matchup nightmare for anyone in the league. He's able to get whatever he wants from almost anywhere on the court. He just bullies and explodes past everyone, and it has allowed him to be one of the best players in the entire NBA. This has earned him respect from many teams around the league, and some nights it forces them to just throw 3 bodies at him and hope for the best. This newfound gravity for Zion allows him to break down defenses and generate good looks for his teammates. And this new point Zion thing that they have been running lately has only helped the Pels and made the loss of Brandon Ingram hurt a little less. Now, like I mentioned, his other 2 co-stars, Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum, haven't really done too much this year. CJ has been struggling as he is shooting career lows from the 3 and the field, and BI has been in and out the lineup with injuries all year. He's only played 15 games this year, and his reevaluation just got pushed back again, but this hasn't hurt them too much. You see, in his absence, guys like Jonas Valanciunas, Larry Nance, and the rest of the role players have been amazing. Even Ricky Dyson Daniels has played big minutes for them this season and has been very impactful when his name is called. The only knock against this team on the offensive side of the ball is their inability to hit the 3-ball consistently, and they kind of leave something to be desired on the perimeter. But despite this, they still have a top offense in the entire NBA. Now, the Pels being one of the best offenses in the NBA this year was something that most people expected. I mean, they were already a great offense when Zion wasn't playing last year, so once they inserted him into the lineup, it was no surprise that their offense began to flourish. It's the other side of the ball that has everyone in shock. The Pelicans currently feature the 3rd best defense in the entire NBA. They only trail the Bucks and the Celtics, who are on pace to have some of the best defenses of all time. But for them to be even this good on defense is mind-blowing. I don't think anyone would have told you before the season that the Pelicans defense would be better than their offense. This new system they have implemented on defense has done wonders for the Pels though. They swarm around the court and force teams into tough decisions and turnovers. They use their rangy and athletic players to constantly rotate, attack passing lanes, and put immense pressure on opposing teams' offense. This has caused them to be one of the best teams in the NBA at forcing turnovers, as they are 2nd in the NBA in steals and deflection. One of the main reasons for this is none other than Herb Jones. He is their go-to guy on defense and is usually guarding the opposing team's best offensive player. This is effective because of how switchable he is on that side of the floor. When guarding on ball, he's good at cutting off any driving angles, and he uses his length to swarm ball handlers and make them uncomfortable. This same length helps him off ball as well. He's a lengthy guy and has a very high motor. This makes him good at clogging up passing lanes, and he has very high level anticipation. He's good at rotating. It doesn't matter if it's down to the rim or on the perimeter. He's one of the best in the league at doing this. But it's not just him. The addition of Dyson Daniels has also helped a tremendous amount. He has done a tremendous job on the defensive end of the floor and has kind of filled in a role similar to Herb Jones. And of course, we can't forget about possibly the biggest name on this side of the court, Jose Alvarado. He's amazing at the point of attack, and this makes him the perfect player to put on the shiftier and quicker guards in the NBA. This is why he saw such success against Chris Paul in the playoffs last year. He's such a pest on and off the ball, and his motor makes him one of the best perimeter defenders in the entire NBA. But their front court is nice on the defensive end as well. Larry Nance has become a very switchable big man in the league. He may only be 6'7", but that 7-foot wingspan has helped a tremendous amount on that side of the court. His help defense is amazing as well, and this makes him a great fit in their style of defense. Valanciunas is also an option if this team needs some size on the inside. He's great when it comes to rebounding and eating up space on that side of the court. He's also one of the best at drop coverage off of screens in the NBA as well. But the biggest surprise for this team defensively has come from Zion Williamson. He has had a big improvements on defense from previous years. He came out and has been fantastic defensively, which was his biggest knock beforehand. He was criticized for the lack of effort, and he has really stepped up his intensity on that side of the ball. And with everyone bought in, the sky is the limit for this Pels team. Willie Green has implemented an amazing system defensively and has every single player on that team bought in on the defensive end of the ball. So with everything I just mentioned, it naturally begs the question, are the Pelicans contenders? Can they keep up with other powerhouses in the NBA? Like I mentioned before, they have a top 10 offense, a top 10 defense, quality wins on their schedule, and arguably a top 10 player in the league on their team. This team was projected to be a middle-of-the-pack playoff team going into the year, but now we're 28 games into the season, and they're the second best team in the West, only one game behind the Grizzlies. So typically when we see teams with this type of success, there is no doubt whether or not they are contenders. But with this Pels team, it's different. There are a multitude of reasons to be hesitant on calling this team a contender. For one, we haven't seen Zion against a playoff defense yet. Zion has been so dominant in the regular season despite his lack of a jump shot, but we have seen before that this doesn't always translate well into the playoffs. In Giannis' first year in the playoffs, defenses were able to slow him down and wall up on him, and it's very possible that the same thing can happen to Zion. Also, this team does most of their damage inside the paint, and that type of offense doesn't usually translate too well into the playoffs in the modern NBA. And lastly, they're lacking experience. This team has only been to the playoff one time. They're extremely young, and they lack the experience that most of the upper echelon contenders within the NBA have. But even despite all of this, despite all the things I just mentioned, I would actually lean toward calling the Pelicans a contender. They have everything. They have the depth. They're one of the deepest teams in the league. They have arguably a top 10 player in the league, and they have elite high-level pieces beside him in Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. And on top of that, they have an amazing defense that allows them to match up with anyone who come their way into the playoffs. You want to go big? Okay, they'll put Valanciunas in. Okay, let's say they go up against the Grizzlies, who might want to run more up-tempo. Okay, cool, we'll put Larry Nance in there, or we even put Zion at the 5. It's no problem with them, and they can guard anyone in the league. But those are just my thoughts on the Pelicans. I personally feel like they are a contender, and they are ready. I don't think they're quite as good as the Bucks or the Sixers or the Cavaliers, but I do think they're in that tier of teams. But how do y'all feel about them as a contender in the NBA? Do you think they match up well against teams in the contender tier like me, or do you think they're a few years away? Let me know how you feel in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and share it if you enjoyed what you saw. And until next time, peace.